Hey there, nerds. Jimmy Palmquist here with a little drive time comic book review. And first up, we have Back to the Future 1 and 2, issues 1 and 2, by IDW. Now, these are fun little books. I don't like going into comic books knowing what's going on, so I don't really read the previews or anything like that. I just go. And obviously, a title like Back to the Future is going to draw my attention because I love the movie. So, reading it, and I love it. I was afraid it was going to be like a sequel or a prequel. No, it's kind of just filling in stories, telling stories, multiple stories throughout the books. It seems like a lot of them take place, like the setting is the past with Doc and his kids, and he's explaining sort of, and I get the sense this is before he took the train and was traveling through time, but he's explaining stories to his kids, or telling his kids some stories. What some of the ones that just stick out are the first time he ever met Marty, and it's a pretty cool storyline. And then we find out that Marty and Needles, which is cool, they brought back that character. Marty's being bullied by Needles, and he has to steal a bulb for his guitar setup, and the only person in town who has them is Doc, and he goes to Doc's place. There's a code and basically a setup where he's got to figure out a maze and work out some problems, some quiz problems. And he gets in, and Doc's like, "Congratulations, you won the job." And there's like confusion because Marty's like, "I'm not here for a job. I came here to steal this," and blah, blah. And it's cool back and forth. And we get to see, Doc's a little kooky, and we get to see that, Marty's sort of this shy kid, more like his dad than we ever really saw in the movies. But they get, obviously, out of it, they get a really cool relationship, and Marty keeps coming back. And it's funny to me because I've seen out online, as Back to the Future turned 30 and we hit the future date, seen a lot of comments on things you didn't know about Back to the Future. It's like, well, why is a high school kid hanging out with, a 50-some-year-old doc scientist who's crazy? Well, it's cool to see. It's not creepy like they kind of want you to believe with the online stuff. It's kind of this cool relationship that just came about as an accident, and it's believable. And you can see Marty, we know from the movies, Marty's home life isn't amazing. So, yeah, he wants to get away from it. So it's cool to see that. There's a great story with Doc as a young man, as he's teaching at the university. And he sort of gets roped in not roped in because he wants the prestige. He starts working for the government, and he finds that all these other scientists are working for the government. Why isn't he working for the government? And it's basically during World War II, and one of his heroes, J. Oppenheimer, is there and sort of meets with Doc. It is cool because it's prefaced with nobody would ever hire Doc because he's sort of scatterbrained and his life's a mess. So he uses like a housekeeper's house that's all clean, and they find out and they think it's funny, and it's just comical to get more inside the head of Doc. And there's another great one where that actually plays into where Doc sort of gives his time machine secret to the government. Like, he lets them know he's been working on this, and it's in an attempt to stop atrocities in the world, that they'll go back in time and fix it. But then Marty pops in this past time, I don't remember exactly which decade, and it tells Doc that all hell is broken loose because now everybody has time machines, so the timeline is constantly broken, and it's not good at all. So this is the reason why Doc burns down his house, is because he doesn't want the government to get that information. So he goes along the lines that he's just a kooky scientist, and his place burned down with all the plans, so he has no idea how to actually build the time machine. Now granted, it does still go with the idea that he gets the insurance money to fund his project, but now he doesn't have to turn to the government for the funding, and he doesn't have to give the government the time machine specs. But I really enjoyed them. I would highly recommend them. I'm going to go ahead and give these 4 out of 5 nerd skulls. Now, I say that as a huge Back to the Future fan. If you're not a fan of Back to the Future, I can't fathom why you would want to read these books or enjoy these books. But if you were one of those people that just don't like Back to the Future, I would hope you're few and far between. They're not a lot obvious. So if you do like Back to the Future, check it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.